It's hard to deny the reality that the greatest threat to Marc Marquez's chances of clinching the 2025 MotoGP title so far comes from himself. This was starkly evident at the America's Grand Prix last month, when Marquez crashed while leading dominantly on a circuit that has long been his stronghold in his MotoGP career. That mistake cost Marquez a 1-point lead at the top of the standings and reset the stage heading into the Qatar GP weekend, which he admitted from the start would be a challenging race for him. Marquez noted that since his MotoGP debut in 2013, he has only won once at the Lusail International Circuit, and that was over a decade ago in 2014, when he was just beginning to test his potential as the most talented rider of his generation. Ducati has long marked the Qatar GP as the weekend where Pecco Bagnaia is finally expected to emerge as a serious contender. Despite a fortunate win in Austin, Marquez believes the two-time world champion season start has been lackluster. He also predicts threats from Alex Marquez and other riders like Fabio Di Giannantonio. After Friday's practice sessions, Marquez looked strong on his factory Ducati, though he admitted Bagnaia appeared slightly better. However, things unraveled for Bagnaia on Saturday when a crash in Q2 forced him to start the race from 11th on the grid. Additionally, a small fuel tank issue hampered his sprint race performance, leaving him to finish 8th. Meanwhile, Marquez controlled the sprint race effectively. Although his performance in the main race was less impressive, he was credited with managing the race as if dominating his rivals. This victory was hailed as one of the best in his career and clearly his most impressive performance as a Ducati rider so far. Marquez described the Qatar weekend as the most important of the 2025 season. He noted that the anticipated major shift in the season's competitive landscape, expected to occur in Qatar, did not materialize. Instead, Marquez left one of his weakest circuits with a perfect result, reclaiming the championship lead with a 17-point advantage. The Qatar GP has always been tough on tire conditions, but Marquez was particularly concerned about the durability of his front tire. He admitted that throughout the weekend he struggled to manage the performance of the front tire. Marquez explained that this race would be very tough and long, especially because tire management was crucial. He struggled with front tire durability and felt the need to be cautious about the issue. Contact with Alex Marquez and the resulting bike damage were not part of the race plan, though they ultimately had little impact on his performance. Marquez was unfazed when Franco Morbidelli led the race for the first 10 laps, as he was confident the VR46 rider would wear out his tires too quickly. Behind them, Bagnaia and Maverick Vinales began setting fast laps to close the gap. Marquez noted that between laps 2 and 6, Bagnaia was faster than him. However, since Bagnaia started from 11th on the grid, both factory Ducati riders knew such pace would deplete Bagnaia's tires faster. When Bagnaia overtook him on lap 5, Marquez stayed calm. He began increasing his pace on lap 7 to retake the position and start chasing the race leader. Marquez was briefly overtaken by a fast-charging Vinales on lap 10 of the 22-lap race, but he maintained that preserving the condition of his medium compound front tire remained the top priority. Marquez explained that he worked hard throughout the weekend. He emphasized that improvements in high-speed right-hand corners were crucial. He also noted that his race strategy was different this time, focusing more on front tire management. He was aware that this approach might allow Pecco to close in, as he deliberately slowed the race pace. He admitted he wasn't concerned when Morbidelli surged ahead, as his sole focus was preserving his front tire. He mentioned that his riding style heavily stresses the front tire, preventing him from pushing the bike to its absolute limit. Marquez also highlighted that this circuit was particularly challenging for him. However, he chose to remain patient. When Bagnaia overtook him, he told himself that was when the real race began. And from that point, he started pushing harder. In the final 7 laps, after overtaking Vinales, he increased braking force, bike pressure, cornering technique, and began using the front tire to its fullest. Marquez considered this the moment he made a significant breakthrough. Over the full race distance, Marquez's average speed was only 0.067 seconds faster than Vinales. However, from lap 16, when he took the lead after Vinales made a mistake at turn 6, Marquez's pace surged dramatically. He began unleashing the full potential of his tires, which he had previously managed carefully. Marquez recorded the fastest laps consecutively on laps 18 and 19, and by the start of lap 19, he was nearly a second ahead. Between laps 16 and 21, Marquez was on average 0.311 seconds faster than Vinales, ultimately crossing the finish line with a 1.8-second lead, before Vinales received a post-race tire penalty that dropped the KTM rider to 14th place. In terms of championship points, the situation was not yet alarming. Alex Marquez trailed by 17 points, while Bagnaia was 26 points behind. However, Marquez believed there was a strong reason why he called the Qatar GP the most important weekend of the season. Marquez explained that even when circumstances were against him, his rivals failed to mount a challenge. He noted that Alex Marquez was involved in a second incident in the main race with Di Giannantonio, resulting in a long lap penalty that ended his 100% podium record. Meanwhile, Bagnaia was deemed to have the pace to compete at the front, but squandered the opportunity with a costly crash in Q2 qualifying. Marquez observed that when his rivals had the chance to pressure him, they instead fell back, paving the way for him to reclaim the championship lead dominantly. He also felt that the lessons Ducati learned at the Lusail circuit would further benefit him in upcoming races. Marquez revealed that the reason he called Qatar the most important weekend was that, despite being fast in Thailand and enjoying that circuit, being quick in Austin despite a major mistake, and performing decently in Argentina, Qatar was a track where he typically struggled. Thus, a strong result at such a place held significant meaning for him. Marquez also expressed gratitude to his team for consistently delivering in every race. He added that during this weekend, they made progress in the setup to help him tackle right-hand corners, which he said provided a sigh of relief since upcoming circuits feature many right-hand turns. On the other hand, Marquez believed Bagnaia was the biggest loser at the Qatar GP. Despite crashing in qualifying, Bagnaia was still expected to lose points to Marquez in the sprint race. Bagnaia once again blamed a strange feeling he experienced when using Ducati's sprint fuel tank, which he said was why he could only finish 8th. Bagnaia admitted to feeling angry because he could perform well on Sunday but struggled on Saturday. He called it a recurring issue that has plagued him for years, complaining that no progress had been made in resolving it. Ducati is reportedly working hard to find a solution, but with the issue not significantly affecting other Ducati riders, questions are arising about when the manufacturer might start losing patience with the two-time world champion, who has yet to meet expectations in the biggest challenge of his career. Beyond the sprint issues, Bagnaia was still 0.180 seconds per lap slower than Marquez on average over the full race distance. Marquez, thanks to a late race push, managed to be 0.519 seconds per lap faster. Marquez acknowledged tire wear as a factor, but found it hard to believe that a better qualifying result could have given Bagnaia a 0.6 of a second advantage over his teammate. Despite strong performances from Ducati's satellite riders and flashes of speed from Vinales on the KTM, Marquez believed Bagnaia remained the primary challenger for the championship this season. However, that hope began to fade after just 4 rounds. Marquez was aware that Bagnaia had previously overcome deficits. Back in 2022, he trailed Fabio Quartararo by 91 points at mid-season. But now he faced an opponent who, in Marquez's view, could only be defeated by one person, himself.